Welcome to Chat Cinema. I'm here with Swiss filmmaker Lisa Gerig talking about her documentary, The Hearing. Okay, Lisa. All right, so let's get started. First question. Immigration, that's a hot button issue right now. So why did you choose this topic to make a documentary
The decision to make a documentary about these asylum hearings at the State Secretary for Migration I made 6 years ago. So even then, migration was a delicate topic. But in between the 6 years, there were also moments where the public eye wasn't so much focused on the migration. So that now that the film is finished and that the focus is again so much on these asylum questions, also because of the terrible war in Ukraine, is an accident. No, is a, how do you say it? Ein Zufall, by accident.
By accident, yeah. Talk about
Mhm.
timing. All right, so let me ask you something. Now, in the film, I've noticed there wasn't a lot of drama, but it was drama, okay? But it's very understated considering the circumstances. Now, how did you play that?
Also on not many emotions, or what
Yeah,
do you
exactly.
mean?
It wasn't very emotional. It wasn't very dramatic. It was very presentational. I was amazed at considering the situation. Everyone was very calm.
Yeah, we would have to ask the protagonists because it's not scripted. So everything it happened while shooting really happened. So it must be perhaps also that the circumstances that they, for once, the asylum seekers had a bit of a confidence in the situation that they are going to be able to really try and tell what they are able to tell. So perhaps this comes out of this, but when I watch the film, I feel many emotions. There are not big emotions like
Right.
crying and shouting, but in between the lines, I think it's very, very tense and full of emotions.
Well, exactly, because you could see a lot. I mean, considering where they were coming from, you could see they were very, like you said, tense, frightened. I guess almost like a deer in the headlights, as we say in English. But it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like, oh my God, like this burst of emotion. It was very narrow in a sense. People were very calm, both the immigration officers and the asylum seekers.
Perhaps also because for the asylum seekers, it's a very existential moment to have to tell a story in front of the authorities, and the future depends on this moment. So there's a lot of concentration, and you also try and to put yourself together to be even able to sit at this table and have the strength to go through it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I live in Germany. Believe me, I've been through a couple of situations, but I'm an American. So yeah, my situation is completely different than theirs. I
Mm.
can't imagine. All right, so let me ask you something. Okay, so the immigration officers and agents, I guess do we call them gatekeepers or are they? I don't really know how to classify them. But you didn't make them good guys or bad guys, but you kind of walked a rope, I think, on that one. How do you feel?
So for me, it was very important that the film it doesn't show a simple perspective like the poor asylum seekers and the bad people working in the system. But that we can all feel that the system itself is problematic and is a
Right?
problem. But individuals in it, they are not like. It's not so easy to just say they are bad people. But we have to talk about what they do and what our system does to people. So I think to allow these questions is only possible if you don't have like this bad antagonist where you can put all your anger on it, and then it's easy. So I find it very important for the film to have this ambivalent feelings towards all the persons, also all the different persons in the film, and to find an own perspective and own questions in it.
All right. So, well, this goes back just what you said about people. in the film, the asylum seekers were talking about how they were basically being stripped naked and pretty much left alone. I guess, with their situation, if they can stay, if they can leave. But did the asylum seekers, how did they think this process was going to be? Did they think it was going to be a cakewalk? They were going to be cuddled, or they just weren't prepared for it?
As they all already had an asylum hearing in real life,
No.
because what we see in the film is a reenactment of
Right.
asylum hearings. So they all had this experience from real life, and they all said in these real interviews it was heavier, as the questions were tougher, the people were less nice, and this is, I'm sure, because of the shooting circumstances that everyone knew there are 3 cameras.
Right.
It's going to be a film in public, so. And also the people working in the State Secretary of Migration that were ready to be part of this film are people that are ready to be criticized, to question what they do. And I met many people working there that were not ready to be in a film to this subject. So I think also the selection we had to do for the people working in this State Migration Office changed a bit the atmosphere. But the asylum seekers knew that it's going to be a tough moment because they had already experienced it.
Oh, right. Yeah, there was a couple of parts that even I was, it was a bit uncomfortable for me. And I think, well, I guess I can say the Afghan asylum seeker, you could see he was very, very uncomfortable. That was obvious. And I'm sure traumatized and frightened of the thought of having to go back to Afghanistan.
Yes. As I think for all of the 4 of them, it was a very difficult situation, but they all handled it in different ways.
Mhm.
As for example, Smiley, the woman from India,
Right.
she also told me while we in the research that in her real interview she didn't allow herself to cry because she thought they don't want to see me as a victim, and then perhaps they think that I'm just pretending. And then when we during the shoot, she asked the people from the office also, would it have helped me if I had cried? Because it was a question that didn't leave her alone, that she didn't dare to cry, but she would have. And I think that's what all these people have to ask themselves: how do I present myself to make my chances better to get asylum?
Mhm. Let me ask
Mm.
you, after they were rejected, were they really that calm? Did they just say, okay, after rejections, are they really that calm? Are they really saying, all right, what do I do next? Or how do they handle it? Or how did they handle
It's very different for the different individuals, but
it? Mhm.
not calm at all. As we don't see it in the film, the
Right.
reactions, but no, for them it was a terrible moment because it questions the whole future.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Like I said, being sent back to some of those places. Wow. All right, so let's go to the technical aspects of the film. Now, I wanted to ask you, working with your cinematographer Ramon and working, the lighting was really, really okay. The lighting and your camera work, because you had 3 cameras, you just said, and even the
Yeah.
set design. Now, how did you guys come up with that? Was that talking to the asylum seekers and everyone, or how did you come up with the pace and all the tone of the film and the look?
As there's no artificial lighting in the film. It's all like the given situation. Only sometimes because of the different